Welcome to the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. Jeff, DiVeronica and Steve Bradley here talking some Section 5 track and field and cross country. And I said last week, Steve, we would get a track athlete on this year, this spring, and I've delivered that right here. And I think it's not just about athletics. This is more of I think it's a life story, and it's where we've been for a couple of years story. And I really appreciate Trinity Wells from Newark. She's a senior there, a terrific runner, and her mom, also her coach, Jessica Wells, coming on the program. Welcome to the program, ladies. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Doesn't get too wild and windy out there for you, but we appreciate that. So Trinity, it's Steve. It's a fantastic story. It's a story. To me, is a story about redemption and hard work and dealing with what life has dealt you. And a lot of people have done that over the last 2 years. And I think this is a story that's going to keep going up and up and up, because congratulations, Trinity, you are going to Colorado State. You're going to run for them. And I guess let's start there, because I think that's when I heard this was happening for you, I was like, great, let's see if we can get her on the show. How long have you been talking with Colorado, the Rams? And I guess when did you commit, and how excited are you? Why did you commit to them?
I first went out and visited and talked to the coach in March. And I really liked it there. They have awesome facilities. The coach was super nice. One of my favorite things he said was, our doctors are your doctors, which really hit home with me since I'm with the long-term COVID. I feel like that'll be really, really helpful. And then after that, we kind of just emailed back and forth for a while, talking about signing and committing and what would happen if I came there. And the day before decision day, I said I was going there. And that was kind of the commitment. Well,
and just so we're recording this, Steve, just so everyone knows, Jessica won Section 5 championship in cross country as a junior. And then she also won the Wayne Finger Lakes championship last fall as a senior. And then the week of the Section 5 championships, she got COVID and couldn't run, obviously. And since then, this is what we'll get into here. We'll talk about her journey over the last several months, her family and her mom, her coach. So go ahead, Steve. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out there front.
Sure, Jeff. Thank you. And just to the background, Trinity has been a standout runner since 8th grade, a 5-time All-Greater Rochester cross country selection, also AGR indoor outdoor 7 times, 12 Section 5 titles. And I actually saw her run in the fall of 2020 over at Marion, and she was so far ahead of the pack that you just knew that she was a dominant athlete. And Jessica, as her mom and as her coach, we've all been dealing with COVID. Maybe can you take us back to last fall when Trinity tested positive, and just give the little background there, and try to wear both hats too, both the mom hat and the coach hat, because sometimes I know you try to separate, but sometimes you can't.
Yeah, well, I'm actually not her coach for cross country. So I got to wear the mom hat when it came to testing positive for COVID, which may actually be harder. But the night before sectionals, she came home from school because she wasn't feeling great. She had a runny nose and sore throat. And she just was like, I came home because I just want to relax, and I'll still go to the team dinner tonight, and we'll get ready for sectionals. And then she was like, but maybe I should test for COVID. And sure enough, she did test, came back almost instantly positive. And then we drove to the pharmacy to confirm it. But the first call was to the athletic director, and we're like, what do we do? It was a really, really hard decision. You're in the bathroom with that test, and for 1 second you're thinking nobody needs to know. And then you're like, nope, that can't happen. Because we knew that it would be life-changing, honestly. We didn't know it would be as life-changing as it was. But we definitely knew that positive test had huge implications. We knew that it meant that she was going to miss state cross country for the 2nd year in a row. And we didn't know that it would mean that she would miss states 2 more times. But yeah, it was a really, really tough call. And she was really worried that she'd exposed her team. And she had to think back to who she'd run with, and if she'd exposed anybody else, and if anybody else needed to be quarantined. And, there was a lot of implications with it.
We've all been there, right, Steve? I mean, everyone in my household has had it. Steve's household's been impacted. My wife, it was Christmas. It was Christmas time. She had to be away from her family. It it was horrible. So, well, I'm glad to see you're smiling and you're going to college to be an athlete. And we're talking, folks, to the 3-time Newark Athlete of the Year in the school. And to have this happen, I guess, how hard did COVID hit you first, Trinity? I mean, how much of a struggle? I know my wife wasn't that bad. A couple days and she was almost like back to normal. But and then we'll talk about the athletic training aspect of this and what that's done to you, because I didn't write down your times from 2 years ago to actually I haven't had a cross country time since you didn't run with it, so or rather since then. But I guess how was that week after COVID, and how difficult was just that day of not going to run and trying to repeat as a Section 5 champion?
It was really tough because I was really honestly just upset because I was missing the last opportunity like to race with my cross country team. I was just like crushed about that. I mean, I ended up FaceTiming in and like doing our like group huddle one last time through FaceTime and stuff, which was really sweet. But that whole week, I really just had like a fever. I lost my taste and smell, headaches, a slight cough, but not bad. It really wasn't that bad. It was really just the fever that was bad. It kind of just felt like a normal sickness.
Yeah, she did get up to like 103 at one point, but
wow.
but that was short-lived.
Yeah.
And we all know too that COVID impacts everybody differently. No matter two people in the same house can have it at the same time with an entirely different impact. Trini, when did it become apparent that this was not going to be 5 days and done, that it was going to be a long haul for you?
Well, the first time I ran after that was like our local turkey trot. It was a 5-mile race. And by the end of it, I was running with my cousin and a couple of their teammates, and they're like, "Trin, are you okay? Do we need to like slow down?" And I just said, "No, I got this." I powered through, and then I didn't think anything of that at the time. And then I went into lift like a couple weeks later, and I could barely do like, squatting. Yeah, I was like squatting or something, and my heart rate was spiking to 180, and I like had to take like a 3-minute breather in between sets because it was just so, it was bad.
So do you go to the doctor at that point, and what do they tell you? At some point, I'm sure you've gone to the doctor, but what have they been telling you about your recovery?
Do you want to take that one?
Yeah.
So yeah, the physical therapist that she was training with was really awesome, and he referred, said you need to go to the doctor, you need to go to a cardiologist. She had an appointment with a cardiologist already because I have a genetic defect that we were already making sure that she didn't have. So she went for that appointment and they didn't find anything wrong. So then she went back to training, and the trainer said, "Nope, it's not right. You need to see a different cardiologist." And he made sure we got into somebody different who wasn't pediatric, even though she wasn't quite 18 yet. He got us into an adult cardiologist. And it's pretty difficult as an elite athlete to try to get doctors to understand that there's something wrong, because she does a stress test and she looks like the epitome of health because she can walk for 5 minutes on a treadmill and her heart rate doesn't change, or her heart rate goes up slower than maybe somebody that's not as healthy.
It goes back to what I've always heard is a mother knows her child better than anybody. And you knew something was wrong. She's telling you trust your daughter. So I know you finished, I'm looking at Friday night. I know a year ago you won, I'm looking through all my stuff. It's great. You won last year, the 800 and 1500 meters in Section 5. And just give you, so folks can just quantify this. Friday night in the Wayne Finger Lakes Championships, you finished 5th in the 1500 and 6th in the 3000 meters. So just so I've never heard that word. She was a Section 5 champion last spring, and now her times, she's not even a league champion. So, do you have any idea to quantify what capacity you're at right now? And I guess what's the outlook here? Obviously, Colorado State believes you're going to get back to where you were. But what's the short term and long term of this, I guess, Trinity?
It was actually last Wednesday. I finally got told that I have asthma. So I was given an inhaler, and so they said 2 to 3 weeks, and that will hopefully start working and opening my lungs up more. But really every doctor I've been to just says it'll just magically one day go away and I'll be fine again. They don't know when that'll happen, but they just keep telling me it'll get better eventually.
And I mean, in their defense, they've never dealt with this either. But I mean, were you maybe one of the few people in the world that was happy to hear you had asthma? So did that give you any relief? Like, hey, now we have something to go on here, right? Was that a relief? Looks like it was from your smile.
Yeah, it was a huge relief.
We went to practice after the breathing test and said, guess what? We have good news.
They found something.
Right.
And I want to talk, we're going to take a quick break. I want to come back, talk more about running in your career, not just about COVID, because that's not just about that. And let's talk about Newark track, because I know Newark track has a great tradition of excellence, and we can talk about that too. So let's take a quick break. We're talking Newark track with Trinity Wells and her mom and coach, Jessica Wells, right here on the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show.
There's a path to success full of challenges, rewards, inspiration, and strength. A strength that only the U.S. Army Reserve can give you. The skills and experiences you'll get will give you an advantage in your civilian life. Stay close to home, train to develop your strengths, and get on a path to success. Find out more at goarmy.com/reserve.
For more information, contact Syracuse Army Recruiting Center, 315-449-2830. There's strong. Then there's Army Strong, paid for by the U.S. Army.
Sweet baby, oh baby,
You know, whether you come here as a sixth grader or a ninth grader, you have to spend your 4, 5, 6 years here and just get involved in so many different things. And then you're going to go out and set fire on the earth. When you get through McQuaid Jesuit, you're not going to fail when you get out in the world.
Tell you about my friends at Bath Fitter. 30 years across the country they've been doing this stuff. 20 plus years in Rochester. You don't have that kind of longevity without treating your customers right, doing great quality work. Please check them out online, bathfitter.com. Call the local office at 617-0007. It's Bath Fitter Rochester. Don't be a DIY diva and try to do it yourself. Don't screw it up. Let the pros do it. Remodel with confidence. Remodel with Bath Fitter. And please tell them you heard about it right here from Jeff DiVeronica on the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. We're brought to you by Salvador's Pizza.
There are plenty of professional sports teams in Rochester, but there's also a lot of great high school sports action in each town in our area. When's the last time you checked out a high school game? Section 5 sports are about more than just wins and losses. They're about teaching teamwork, dedication, and discipline. So support the kids who play for your school. Get out and watch a high school game today. For more information, including schedules, rosters, and stats, visit section5.org. That's sectionv.org. Brought to you by the Monroe County League and Section 5.
in doing the work you do. If you're hurt, we'll help you through.
Don't be fooled. Video hearings are as critical as appearing in person.
Make sure your rights are protected.
Your employer has trained specialists on their side.
And the judges work for New York State.
The only person on your side
is the attorney at your side.
Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys.
Local McDonald's operators care about our local schools, teams, and student athletes. That's why they support the return of high school athletics in the Rochester area and around the state. See you before or after the big game at McDonald's. Welcome back, Section 5. Game on!
Welcome back to the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. Jeff DiVeronica and Steve Bradley talking some Section 5 track and cross country and more about life dealing with COVID with Trinity Wells, former Section 5 champion in cross country and indoor track and outdoor track, 12 times a champion, and her coach and mother. She's the coach of outdoor track at Newark and not the coach of cross country, where I think Trinity's probably had your most success, I would think. And I didn't ask you, you're going to Colorado State. Are you going to run track and cross country or just one or the other here?
Yeah, I plan on running track and cross country.
Steve Bradley.
So thank you both for being here. And Jeff and I always look for great stories, and we appreciate your candidness. And I really think that this story can be helpful to a lot of people. Trinity, when you have success early in your career, a lot of people jump to conclusions that you're going to do this 5 times or whatever. You've had peaks and valleys. How much has what you've dealt with in the last several months taught you to appreciate what's happening in the moment and what you're doing now rather than getting caught up in all the outside noise?
Honestly, when I first tested positive for COVID, I thought it was over. I was like, this is terrible. Nothing good is going to come from this. And then I ended up being able to take a season off, which was like the most refreshing thing in the world after running for seasons straight. I ended up getting a job as a ski instructor and just like chilled. And I tried to strength train through it, but it ended up just being doctor's appointments upon doctor's appointments. But it was like a nice little refresh. And then getting back into track, it kind of was just like, you got to go with the flow because you honestly have no idea what's going to happen. And there's no use in getting upset because I can't just make myself get better. I can keep training, but I can't make my lungs normal again. It's just going to take time. So
she has done something interesting this season. She's never done a field event before because she's always had fun.
Pole vault, Steve. She did the pole vault Friday night. She took 12th place, 5'6", right? 5 feet 6 inches.
She's done better than that, but yeah.
So Jessica, as a mom, I mean, we all hate to see, or as a parents, we all hate to see our kids go through tough times. How proud are you of the way that Trinity has handled everything that's been thrown at her?
Oh my goodness, you're gonna be here to make me cry. She's been so resilient, not just through this, but it has been a really, really rough 2 years. And she just keeps bouncing back and knocking the hurdles over as they're put in front of her, or hurdling over them, whichever seems to make more sense. She's really, I'm very proud of her. I'm excited to see what the future holds for her. And if, she gets to Colorado State and she doesn't end up bouncing back and she doesn't run, that's okay too. It would be sad for everybody, but she's close to the mountains, she can ski, and they've got a great horticulture program, which is why she's really going. So
were there other colleges, was there a lot of other colleges recruiting you at that level, D1 level? Or not many?
There were a few. Another one of my top choices was actually University of Nebraska in Lincoln, and they wanted me there, but I wanted the mountains. So
So what, you are a ski girl, mountain girl, outdoors. I mean, was Vermont ever in the mix?
Oh yeah, definitely mix. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about that. When did you first start running, and was skiing your first love, or was running? I mean, when did you first get into running and skiing? I guess how did that happen?
I mean, I've been skiing my whole life. I started when I was like 5 at the local ski slope, which is where I work now.
Little plug. Who is it? Who's the plug?
Brantling Ski and Snowboard Center.
Okay, there you go, Brantling.
Diane Roth, Olympic gold medalist on those slopes.
Yep. Yeah. So when I started indoor skiing, kind of went to the back burner, and I would just would occasionally go with my friends. But then this year kind of gave me the opportunity to spend a ton of time with my friends, make new friends, and keep skiing. So it was kind of nice. Yeah.
Going back to 7th grade though, she wasn't a runner. She went out for cross country in order to get in shape for modified swimming.
Yeah.
Because modified swimming is that tweener season.
Yeah.
So that was her goal. And then you probably know the legendary Coach Contario.
Coach Contario, yeah.
I said to him at one meet, I'm like, don't get too used to her. She's a swimmer. And he looked at me and was like, no, she's not.
It's funny. I work at West Rondequoit High School, and Candace Teitler, another good runner, was a swimmer. And she changed over, had a terrific freshman year, and then she knew she kind of made the right choice. So I wonder what the swimming, I mean, I guess the training is similar, a lot of long hours. You can't cheat the clock, right? So that's it. Coach Wells, when did you become Coach Wells? Has that been a long time thing?
No, it hasn't. 3 indoor seasons ago, Newark had an opening, and well, actually, no, I coached modified in 2018. Modified, and Trin was on varsity at that point. So I coached modified outdoor, and then the varsity indoor assistant coach came up the following fall, and that's when I started coaching, track, varsity track.
Hey,
So
Trinity, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. That's fine.
Trinity, what do you hope other people that see this or hear your story take away from it?
I hope honestly people just know like to be patient with yourself. And I don't know, at first I beat myself up a lot about it and I didn't give myself any credit, but you kind of just got to be patient and allow yourself to change and just, yeah, go with the flow, I guess.
Well, your mom said something about what you're going there to study in college, and it's more important. Obviously, running's been a big part of your life. And it was good to hear you said it was kind of nice to have a little break, because I know, it can probably get monotonous doing the same thing. It's not like you're playing field hockey and then basketball and then softball. It's you're running. That's what you do. So, but obviously you've done it at a very high level. And school records in the 3,000 indoor, 3,000 outdoor, and 800 outdoor. Like I said, 3-time Newark High School Female Athlete of the Year. Obviously, again, I not only it's Candace Teitler from the school, so I've been very keen on following cross country locally the last couple of years. But I work with a guy named James Brennan, whose daughter's a very good runner and skier for HFL. And I know HFL, you were certainly on their radar for sectionals. And they told a story about how Ann was on our program in the fall and said they looked and they're like, where's Trinity at the race? So you commanded the kind of attention that like they were game planning against you in Newark. But I'm glad there's a successor to the end on many levels, that you look relatively healthy. Out here in the wind, you both look like models on the runway with the hair blowing. So, but and whatever happens, you run, you don't run, you're a better person because of all this, and you know that, and your parents know that. So, thank you for being on our show. Steve, you want to close with anything else, sir?
No, I just kind of go back to thank you for sharing. I mean, issues are important in dealing with this. It'd been 100 years since there'd been a pandemic like this, and there was no handbook, there was no model, and it's not always what you're dealt, it's how you deal with it. And kudos to both of you for the way you've dealt with it.
Thanks for being on our show, Trinity. Good luck. Who knows what happens the next few weeks? We'll talk some more track on our show. Coach Wells, thanks for doing this so quickly. Appreciate it. You don't know me from Adam, and I reached out to you on Thursday, and we put this in together. So thanks again for doing it.
Appreciate you doing it.
All right, Newark track. Before we go though, hang on real quick. You had some other performances Friday night at the Wayne Finger Lakes Championships. You want to tell us a couple other standout performers for your team, Coach?
Sure. You probably saw that the Newark boys won the championship handily. On the girls' side, we had Jada Solomon, who won the 100-meter dash. She's a fantastic sprinter. She's only a freshman, so she's got a big future ahead of her. On the boys' side, there's so many stars. I hope I don't forget any. We have a cousin she talked about, Broden, won the 800 with his best time, and the 1600. We have Rocco Salerno, who shines in the jumps. I think Manny beat him in the triple jump, but he won the long jump. He also won the 100 and was part of the winning 4x1. My favorite race of the night was the 4x4 relay. It's always my favorite race of the night. But our boys, they came in as the second seed, and I don't even know how to describe it, but they just ran a fantastic race and came in first. Those 4 boys are seniors. They've been running together for a long time, and that was a great race. One of them also, Joey Camblin, won the pole vault. He's come a long way in the pole vault. He dual sported in swimming and indoor track in the winter, so he could focus on pole vault, and it really shows in outdoor. He's had some great PRs, and I'm probably forgetting some other.
William Tremblay.
Oh, William Tremblay. Oh my gosh, I'm the throws coach.
Good job, Trinity. Good job, Trinity.
Trinity with the save.
So Will won the discus and the shot put, which he always does. I'm very excited to see where he goes. Where he goes the rest of the season, and he's going to UB to compete next year. And Broden is as well. So we've really got an exciting boys team this year. It's amazing the amount of talent we have. And we have some talent coming up, but we have a junior that's a great high jumper. We have some great junior and sophomore sprinters that are coming up. So hopefully the legacy is going to continue after this year.
Hopefully we'll be back on the show next year. So,
yeah.
They know how to run. The Reds know how to run out in Newark. So thanks again for being on our show, Coach Wells and Trinity. We appreciate a story of triumph and adversity and resilience. Very happy to tell it here. That's what we do, folks. We're not on the sidelines anymore. We're not going to hit you up on Twitter with all these videos. We let that get handled by other people at this point. But hopefully you enjoy some in-depth interviews here right on the Connors and Ferris High School show, Sports Show. For our producer, Joe Brott and Steve Bradley, I'm Jeff DiVeronica. Thanks for watching us right here on the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show.